Hey, call hello, Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalawam and salutation to you brothers out here, preaching words of truth and sincerity. Shalawam to all the Akim and Akwaf listening. Scattered abroad Israelites, Hebrew Israelites who look like Israelite foreigners or look like other nations. Shalawam. Hey, this is a breakdown that I had when I want to say maybe 5 to 10 years ago, somewhere between that. I wrote it down. I believe it's that old. It got to be that old. Maybe even 7. And so this is from the Lexicons of GMS channel. I don't know if that's still around. I could just find out real quick. But this is, I believe the Apostle Ryan Lob used to have this channel. He used to go into the Greek word. It was either Apostle Ryan Lob or Apostle Gabar. They were going to Greek words and everything. And this is some of the notes that I took. I'm just trying to figure out if that's still, this channel is still around. Because, Esau came through and took a lot of stuff down. Everything that was edifying for us, he took it down. We just had to deal with it. So, no, I don't see no Lexicon of GMS videos. There's re-up. I see a re-up channel. So you can go to Lexicon of GMS re-up on YouTube. That might be still there. All right, but yeah, so a brother put up Lexicon of GMS re-up channel, and I see Elder Sakaran is also a part of that page. So there's about 10 videos up on there. So this is my notes that I took from one of the older seasons. This video is 9 years old, so I know this information is either at least 5 to 12 years old. Okay, some notes that when I first came in, I took these notes, and so I'll just go over them, man. This is the first. You can screenshot this if you really want them, and then that's the back page. Okay, and I'm just gonna read over what I got and go through the scriptures and break down what I learned on that day, just bringing it all home, right? 1 Corinthians 14 and 6. That's where it begins. 1 Corinthians 14 and 6. And that says, "Now, brethren, I come unto you speaking with tongues. What shall I profit you, except I shall speak to you either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by doctrine?" All right. So, the Greek word that they brought out here was the word doctrine. I know what the word doctrine means. All right, doctrine. So we're going down here. And we're talking about doctrine. You see the Greek word didash. All right, didash. He's not going to say it, but it's like didash. I don't know if y'all could hear that. It says teaching. All right, it says didact means teaching. It says that which is taught. Doctrine, the act of teaching, instruction. Okay. It says in religious assemblies of the Christians to speak in the way of teaching and distinct from other modes of speaking in public. So it's about teaching. It's about that which is taught. So there's two doctrines. There's a doctrine of truth. All right. And then there's the doctrine of BS. And the doctrine of BS circles around what's today known as the Roman Catholic doctrine. Okay. The Roman Catholic doctrine. That's the doctrine of BS. But then there's the doctrine of truth, which is what we have. See, the doctrine of truth, Esau, who's a so-called white man, is the devil. It says the Lord, and I'm reading now, the Lord was a so-called black man. Israel is the only nation that will benefit in the kingdom. Yahweh is a so-called black man. The Most High sent his son to save the nation of Israel, etc. That's the doctrine of truth. Okay? The doctrine of BS would be everything that the Roman Catholic Church teaches, which is contrary to what the doctrine of truth I just read was. Now, we know that the word didash means truth. I mean, what you're teaching. Things that you're teaching. That's what the doctrine is. I believe High Priest Ariel used to break it down, a body of laws or a body of principles. All right. Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you? That's other languages, right? All that mumbling that goes on in the church, that's other languages. You're not supposed to be coming through with that. All right. And Paul goes into detail why. It says, except I shall speak to you either by revelation or by knowledge or by prophesying or by doctrine. So it's best to teach what you were instructed to teach, teach what you were taught, the doctrine of truth and not the doctrine of BS, right? You know, there's many different ways this word could be edifying that the speaker is supposed to bring out. And the doctrine of truth is number one. The doctrine of truth, revelations of truth, knowledge of truth, and prophesying of the doctrines of truth. Yahweh Shah being coming again, restoring Israel to our former state and our former glory. Acts 16 and 1 says, Paul came, then came he, Salaki, to Derbe and Lystra. And behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek. All right, his father was a Greek. Now the notes say Paul met Timotheus, whose mother was a Jew, and believed. His father, also a Jew, Israelite, did not believe, thus classified as a Greek Hellenist. When you go into the interlinear here and you look up that word Greek, you see Hellen. And to get the perfect understanding of who the Hellens were, see, there's a whole dynasty, there's a whole period of time. Just like America spreads all over the world today, you got McDonald's everywhere, where you had the Greek Empire spread all over the world at that time. And everyone who had the customs and the mannerisms of Greeks, even dwelling outside of Greek all the way to Egypt, was considered Greeks. Or, as they said in that language, Hellen. It says a Greek by either nationality, either. There's an option here. Whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek or colonies. Now here, hold on. A Greek by nationality or native of the mainland, right? It says in a wider sense, because remember, they was broad. The Greeks didn't just stop at Greece. They went all over. They conquered all the way. Alexander conquered all the way down to India. And I believe all the way to Afghanistan. That's where he stopped and pretty much turned around. It says in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations. And it says not Jews, but we're going to check this out. That made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. See, because the Jews didn't collaborate with the Jews of Israel didn't collaborate what was a Greek custom. And yes and no. So at one point in time, there was Jews who collaborated with that, down to if you go into the history of Alexander Epiphanes, I forget his first part of his name. Antiochus Epiphanes, right? You'll hear that he was forcing Jews, to eat pork, to worship him, to not be circumcised, so forth and so on. That's what the whole book of Maccabees pretty much covers, that the Hellenistic time and the persecution of Greeks. But it says here, in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learning of Greeks their own. The primary reference is to difference of religion and worship. So if you stop right there, you'd be like, well, see, a Greek can't be a Jew. Greek can't be Jew. Jew can't be Greek. See, a Hellen, Grecian. The word here is Hellen. All right. Inhabitants of Hellas. By extension, Greek-speaking person, especially a non-Jew. As we continue now, then you're going to get into many different variations of the word Hellen. Hellenist, Hellenistes, Hellenin. And the word Hellenistes, let me see if I could just grab it. Because notice that a big right here, that's saying that Hellen is non-Jew. But if I go to the root of the word, let's see if I could do this here. Hellas, right? Hellas is meaning the country. Here we go. Helen. What is this word? Hold on. Because this is all going gonna make sense. I was glad when I first learned this. It gave us a great understanding. So there's Helen. Then there's, see all the different forms of Helen? Hellenikos, meaning a Grecian language, or that's Greek. That's for the language, Hellenikos. Then Hellenes, a Greek woman, a Gentile woman, not a Jewish. Let's keep going. Hellenistes, a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. Now, see, no more, not the Jews. It says used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So at one point in time, they called Greek-speaking Jews Hellenistes, or a Hellenist, a Greek-speaking Jew. See, the whole time, a Grecian. See, the whole time they was writing off the fact that, Greeks can't be Jews and Jews can't be Greeks. Right here, and this word alone defeats that and breaks that down. All right. So, yeah, Timothy's father, who Paul met, his mother was a Jew and believed. His father also was a Jew, an Israelite, but he did not believe. Thus he classified as a Hellenist, a Greek-speaking Jew, and he took on the customs and the manners and the worships and the practices of the Greeks. He wasn't trying to hear that about being an Israelite. He was in Greece and he was doing what the Greeks could do. Or he was, wherever he was doing whatever the whatever the Greeks were doing. They was worshiping Athena. They was worshiping Apollos. They was worshiping all the other foreign gods and idols, man. Sacrificing at the temple of Delphi, talking to the oracles. All right. Let's read on. Which was well reported of by the brethren that was at Lystra and Iconium. So that's where they came, Derbe and Lystra. And these is places that, let's see if I can find this. Yeah, here we go. These is places that actually exist, right? You see Derbe and Lystra right here, you see? In this area here. Boom. So that's modern day Turkey. This is modern day Turkey. Okay? Modern day Turkey. So let's go back. Okay, I think I'm still here. Yep. Verse 3. Him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews which were in the quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek. So Timothy's father, Timothy's father was a Greek, right? A Hellenist, a Greek-speaking Jew who didn't believe in the customs of the Israelites, but wanted to be more like a Jew. It says him with Paul. So Timotheus, him with Paul, had to go with him and took him and circumcised him. Why? Because his father didn't have him practicing the circumcision, which was a Israelite custom. Now it's like a broad, worldwide known custom, but before then it was just something that the Israelites practiced. It says circumcise him because of the Jews which were in those quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek. Remember, a Hellenist, right? A Hellenistes. Hellenist, right? Verse 4. And as they went through the cities, they delivered them the decrees for to keep that were ordained of the apostles and elders which were at Jerusalem. So we're going to get into this Greek word, decrees, right? Decrees. They delivered them the decrees for to keep. What's a decree? Now you know this word, dogma. Okay, dogma. A dogma is a doctrine. Once again, going back to the doctrine, didash in the Greek, meaning teaching, meaning that which is taught. All right, instruction, the act of teaching. Well, doctrine is also the meaning of dogma. It says decree, ordinance. Public decrees of Roman Senate, of rulers, the rulers and requirements of the law of Moses. of certain decrees of the apostles relative to right thing, relative to living, or used to say right thing. You see, and they went through, I took these down from the blue letter. They went through and altered a few things, man, as time went on. Like I said, these notes is 10 years old. It didn't say relative to the right living. It said relative to the right thing. Yeah, so it says here now, the rules and requirements of the law of Moses carrying a suggestion of severity and of threatened judgment. Cool. All right, so now we see what a dogma is. It's decrees. And the etymology of dogma says is Greek, opinion, to seem good, think that which one thinks is true. To think that which one thinks is true. So now it's become a dogma. That's the modern day sense of the word. A doctrine or system of doctrines proclaimed by authority as true. All right. So the doctrine of BS, or the dogma of BS, the dogma of the Roman Catholic Church is the doctrine of BS. All right. Now the word doctrine, let's get that definition. See if I can do this. Cool. It's going to work today. The word doctrine, a belief or a set of beliefs held and taught by a church, political party, or other group, a creed, right? A dogma, a belief, set of beliefs, code of beliefs. It says in my notes, a religious doctrine that is proclaimed as true without proof. Constantine the Great decreed BS by saying they had the authority to continue on from Peter as the apostolic succession. They never had Peter's authorization. It's another thing you go into apostolic is the actual thing called apostolic succession, which Comfy used to teach a lot. This is Jermaine Comfy, ICGJC, the men who followed him. He's teaching apostolic succession, which is something that Constantine was teaching. The teaching that bishops represent a direct, uninterrupted line of continuity from the apostles of Yahushua. All right, but let's get back into the scriptures, right? I stay too much time on that. I'm gonna finish it out. And the water for being with me. This is Ephesians 4:15. It says, but speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Yahushua, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, making increase of the body unto the edifying of itself. And what that means is basically the body's constant, different parts of the body. All right, we're all different members in different parts of the body. I think that's 1 Corinthians 12. And because the body fits together and works together perfectly in harmony and synergy, different parts of the joints and different parts of the body will supply nourishment to the other parts of the body. That's how the body of Israel is. That's why it says, maketh increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. Now they went into the Greek word edify. What does this mean? The word here, edifying. Oikodome. I used to hear them bring this out all the time. Oikodome, the act of building up. Metaphor, edifying, edification. The act of one who promotes another's growth in Christian wisdom, piety, happiness, holiness. A building, i.e. the thing built, edifice. It's actually a thing, edifice. It's a building. That's it. Root of the word here, edifice, a building. Especially a large, imposing one, a construction, a complex, complex system of beliefs, an edifice. So it even goes right back to beliefs. Right. The act of one who promotes another's growth in, let's say, the Israelite, or right, it says Christian, wisdom, piety, happiness, and holiness. That's true. That's what this edification does. The etymology of the word edify means, it's from the Latin edificare, to build, construct. All right. So they brought out Jeremiah 3 and 15, which says, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. That is edifying us, building a structure, a system of beliefs in us. That's edifying us. All right, building that scriptural belief. All right, promoting our growth in Israelite wisdom, piety, happiness, and holiness. That's edifying right there. Promotion of growth. So it's never backwards. It's never going backwards. It's only going forwards. All right, it's always sincere. It's always promoting a growth in another person. Once you do that, you have accomplished many great things in life. If you can promote a growth in someone else, that means you can arouse an ego, want, and a desire in someone else. Well, that's building, right? Because we need builders. This is this truth is surrounded by the hands that help it. It's made possible by Yahweh Shem Yahshua through the men he wakes up to build, to add another brick, to add another foundation. When you watch a building going up in Manhattan, I mean, it takes teams and teams and hours and synergy and working together, cooperation and desire. Men gotta want to be there, or else somebody gonna get hurt, etc. So this is what the edifying is all about. It's about giving you what you need to want this for yourself. Right? Right? Isaiah 3 and 15. It says, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Then they brought out Hosea 4 and 6. Then they brought out Hosea 4 and 6. And let's grab it. That's why this truth is the best thing smoking. The best thing ever. All right? There's nothing in comparison to the doctrine of truth, which we have and which we teach. Hosea 4 and 6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children. The Most High was serious and severe and direct when he told us this, to watch out. You want to take me for a joke? It ain't going to be long before you see exactly what I'm going to do to my people. I'm destroying them. Then you ask me why? Now you know why. Because they ain't got no knowledge. And I sent men to them. It says, thou hast rejected knowledge. Where do you think the knowledge came from? That's from all these videos going up. All these brothers edifying. We're building. This is the house. We just read it. This is the temple. This is the body. As a matter of fact, the word temple the word temple, that was the last part they brought out. Let's see if I can grab here. Boom. Temple. Because this is the body of Yahweh. This is the body of Yahweh Shah, the brotherhood, a building devoted to worship, right? Or regarded as dwelling place of a god or gods or other objects of religious reverence. A temple. A place of Christian public worship, especially Protestant church. Temple. Open or consecrated place. Temple. Also the flat part on either side between the head, right? Temple. All right. It says here 80s. Let's see if I could get this word. 80s. Oh, no. Watch this. This is the last part. AEDS. Let's see what this say. 80s. Because this is the Greek for temple, I believe. 80s, the normal Latin word for a building which a deity resides. You see, all of these, once you became a Greek, you had to become into their customs and actions, unless you was going to be consistent with your doctrine and your dogma. And once you became into a Roman, as a Romans, you had to be consistent with their doctrines and their dogma. At one point, they made all the Jews of Rome wear hats, just like they did in Greece. They are that, they're the seed of Cain, going to do it. Nothing new under the sun. They made the Roman Greeks, they made wear hats to identify them. So did they do Israelites under the Greek Empire. That's why they so similar, the Greek Roman Empire. It says the notes say the Most High gave Moses and the Israelites a temple with carnal ordinances. So we also had our temple, right? It says this was temporary until Yahushua came to give us the true way to worship Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. Bahashem Rakakwadash. Eventually, all laws, statutes, and commandments would be put in our inward parts. The temple is set up as a schoolmaster. Right? A schoolmaster is somebody who walks your son to school for you. He was a slave that dwelt. Pedagogos is the Greek for that, and it means child, teacher. And he would walk the child every day while, the nobles are off doing what they have to do. And he would go to the classrooms with the child. So a lot of these men would actually learn alongside the child how to read and write, even though they were slaves in the Roman Empire. And then they would bring his son home, and they was responsible for his note taking, responsible for his learning, his edifying. They was responsible for his knowledge. They was responsible for that he became a man. They pretty much single-handedly raised the children of the Roman nobility. But they was always the slave, right? They never was free. They was just a house servant, a slave, a schoolmaster. And that is the same way how the law and the temple and these laws raised us up. They raised us up, right, to the point where eventually we would learn Yahushua and see and understand Yahushua better, because what he's coming back to do is put these laws in our inward parts. So ultimately you get raised up to a point in which you don't, necessarily need the schoolmaster anymore, right? That's an analogy. He's only there as your child to rear you up, and once you get to a certain place, he's gone, he's off. And that's what it was like unto Israelites with this law and with these ordinances that we got from Moses. And eventually they'll be replaced because they're now in our inward parts, and we can never go off. We'll be immaculate, right? We'll be the word is like perfect, so we'll never go off. Lord willing, this video was edifying. I'm gonna leave it here till next time. Shalawam.